Well, what do cops like besides donuts? I'll give you one guess. I know they love donuts, though. You see, that's the old joke: cops and donuts. But what do they like besides donuts? They like money. It puts a smile on their face, just like a happy face of money would laying out there with the $100 bills, stacks of them. So now, something actually good news for us that has happened: the Equitable Sharing program, which gives police the option to prosecute asset forfeiture cases under federal law instead of state law, has been suspended. The program has been suspended due to, get this doesn't make sense to me, believe it or not. It doesn't have enough money to keep going forward with it. And I'm thinking, how could a program not have enough money that they just take the money from people, and then they share it. They get 80% of what they share with the federal authorities. How the hell could that lose money? I mean, the cops are being paid anyway. I mean, I don't get it. It's like I'm trying to study this situation. I don't get how the hell that could lose money. It's like they stopped. There's been a lot of cases. If you don't know what this Equitable Sharing Company program is, it's basically the money is guilty until proven innocent. They'll say, well, we think the money is guilty of a crime because it's drug money or it's been involved in some illicit activity. Although we're not going to charge you with a crime, we're going to keep the money. And there's been a lot of cases where somebody was going out, like to buy a car, that they did a bid on eBay, and they're going to bring cash to the vendor, and they got stopped, and the money got confiscated. So, if you're studying this in case law or something, it really doesn't make any sense. But it was actually thought up by a retired cop in California. I forgot the guy's name, and then it became. He said it was a way that they're allowed to do these type of procedures, and then the police department can keep part of the money. Now, the thing is, what I'm thinking is, you see, this is charts going from over like 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, and actually it's exploded even far more so than after that. But this is per the Justice and Treasury Department, the Equitable Sharing Program. They just been money's just been pouring into these programs. I don't see how it's losing. See, but let me tell you this. The real thing is this, and I'm actually going to drive on to other points on this because this is going against our great American way of life and everything, because it's coming down to like Banana Republic military and police shakedown of the public. And I know, like, the law and order, maybe not the regular, I don't know, regular cops, they ain't saying nothing about this too much because it's their job, right? But the official organizations in law and order are saying, well, this is terrible that we can't keep going on with this program because it's one of the best tools we have to fight crime. But in many cases, it's not fighting crime. But I'm thinking this is the question that came to my head is that how could this program be losing money when it's basically cost-free? And if it was losing money, how come there was an incentive to keep grabbing more and more money? In other words, keep doing it, grab more and more money, if there was some kind of expense involved in grabbing money. I mean, the cops are being paid to work there anyway, so I don't know what the hell the expense would be. It's not like you got to hire extra people or put them on overtime to confiscate cash. And this is one of the things too, where I think it's one of the wars on cash. It's another war on cash, and I think that the Department of Justice says they want to put this back in practice as soon as possible, as soon as the funds are there in the budget. And I think if Hillary gets in office, boy, that'll be one of her top priorities, because this lady is even more evil than the other guy that's in there right now. So, but I'm going to tell you some other things besides them having this war on cash. You see, this really goes back to a basic tenet of our way of life and our government and what everything the United States was formed upon. Because as soon as somebody gets it, even if they're paid $10 an hour, if you give them some power and a title, it doesn't happen with everybody, but with a lot of people, it goes right to their head, and they just totally abuse their title and power. It's like power corrupts. I mean, somebody once said that, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think that was Lord Acton. I forgot who that was, maybe, but it's true. The more power you have, the more it corrupts you. It's just like money corrupts people sometimes, too. It depends. I mean, the love of money, I guess it is, more than anything. But the other thing is, they don't make the actual data public. Most of the states don't make the actual data public as to how much money they confiscated. You see, that's why I'm thinking the program is losing money, because it could, how do you know where it's going? I mean, if a cop confiscates, $10,000 from somebody, it's cash. I mean, if he tells somebody, else how much it is, he puts down a report, I confiscated $8,000, and then, that report says something else to the federal authorities. You see what I mean? I mean, who the hell's auditing all this information that's going on behind the scenes? Nobody, right? I mean, there's freaking a lot. Actually, in reality, the situation is the cops ought to be prosecuted for this bullshit. That's how screwed up it is. But actually, I want to tell you something else here besides unrelated to this in a way, but related to it. It's analogous to the whole ball of wax of how power corrupts absolutely. People get that Napoleon Syndrome, and no matter what it is. Actually, this woman I know, she lives over in another county, and she used to live in the county I live in. She has like a dozen cats, and what they did was the cat Nazis, I call them that. The cat Nazis came by from animal control, and they picked them up. But she's had these cats forever. She picks up strays, and she takes them to the vet, and she gives them shots, and she just feeds them. But like, if you feed them, you own them. So what they did, they charged her with 6 counts of animal cruelty, and thousands and thousands of dollars, because there was some problems with some of the cats. But she took the cats to the vet. In other words, these were stray cats. These weren't cats she had from as kittens. These were stray cats. They had problems, and she took them to the vet, and those problems were being addressed. And then they also said she was unfit to own any cats. She wasn't even allowed to adopt them. And they're charging her like, it's ridiculous, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Then they took these cats, and they went ahead, and it's like a big, vast conspiracy, to tell you the truth. This is true. I mean, this just happened like within the last month. They took these cats. I'm not making this up now. I don't want, I didn't know how to put this out here, because I was thinking maybe I was going to put it out in a separate video, but maybe it might be too dangerous, because it's in Citrus County, Florida, if you want the actual where it is. They took these cats, and what's going to happen to them? They're going to put them in little cages. They're going to keep them for so many months, and they're going to gas them or kill them or something. That's all they're going to do. They're not going to do anything. Meantime, they're trying to just extort this woman for all kinds of money. Basically, it's like animal control mafiosa plan. And, that's how I look at almost any government authority. Once you give them the power to do something, like, money-wise, or just charge the money of the crime, and the money's guilty, like with this program where the cops are able to confiscate the money and call it Equitable Sharing. In other words, the money is guilty. If you want your money back, it's not you versus the law enforcement officials or whatever. It's you. You have to, like, it's like the money versus the state. That's how they actually have it. It's ludicrous the way they have it. It's not logical, but that's exactly what they do. It's like you got to spend money in an attorney fee to defend the money against the state, not yourself. You don't represent yourself. But it's like anytime there's like some kind of situation where the government can actually have a little more power, they'll abuse the shit out of it. And that's been recognized by our founding fathers. And even use the word government, it just could be people. And this group here, PETA, I'm showing here PETA. You would think PETA would be some group that would actually um, help the animals and stuff, and the stray pets and stray cats and things. No, no. Actually, what they do is they are big advocates of freaking letting the cats die instead of being neutered and given shots and released. They don't let them. They don't want. They just want them killed off. They will not do anything about anything for this type of deal. So, if they want to, fine. I mean, I'll put the challenge up to them right here on this video, because if they want to go up against the Citrus County Animal Control Department and some of their Nazi procedures against people and cats, go for it. Be my guest, because you're going to be up against a formidable foe. But it's like most of these organizations that even are out there that seem to be representing some of these causes against like draconian rules, most of them are just frauds and fronts. Most of them are. And it's we the people really got to stick to our own basic constitution. Now, what they're talking about is that they want to bring back this equitable sharing program. I kind of diverged a little bit about this cat thing, because it's kind of along these lines where if any person in any field gets a little bit more power, it goes to their head. They have a title, and they have a way to get money for it. Like in the case of animal control in Citrus County, Florida, if you're taking a stray cat to a vet and you're feeding a stray cat and there's something wrong with the stray cat, they'll charge you with animal cruelty because there was something wrong with the stray cat. And it's like, where are they coming up with that? But they just do it because they can. Just like, if you're on the road and you're driving down the road and you got $10,000 in your pocket and you just did a bid on eBay and you're going down there to make payment to the vendor on a car or something like that, and the cop stops you and you tell him and he says, you have any cash? And you say, I have $10,000. I'm going to make a payment on a car I just bid on, and you can prove it. The cop could say, well, I think that's drug money. I don't know. I'm suspicious of where that money really came from, and confiscate it. It doesn't have to be logical. As long as they have the power to do so, they will. And that's just the nature of, the worst people seem to gravitate to these type of rackets. So, it's like the situation is getting worse and worse and worse out of hand. A lot of people don't realize, what's going on all the way, because it's not only in this equitable sharing program, but it's in everything. If they could slam you for, if they could find a way to extract money for you for, late library fees or something, and charge you $10,000 for losing a book or something, and they get 20% of that, they'll be charging everybody in the world for that. That's exactly what the game is. It sounds ludicrous, but not that many years ago, it was really ludicrous that you would think an American cop today would, ask a person, do you have cash on you? And if you have cash, and you tell them how much cash you have, and you could say, well, I'm going right now to make a deposit in the bank for the proceeds of my business. They could say, well, I think that money's from something else, and confiscate it. And they'll get a piece of it too. And they'll get a piece of that action. And that's why they do it. So, I really don't want to put out a doom and gloom video on it, but you got to watch all angles, because I really wanted to put out the other angle about the animal control people. And, it could be the EPA, it could be anything. That once you give some people a little bit of power, I mean, it depends on the person. Some people are good people, and they're just good people by nature. But there's other people there's always good and bad people. And once you have it where those people have that much power, the bad people will abuse the shit out of the system, and they will go as far as they want to. So hopefully, this equitable sharing program will be dead for a while. But you have to ask yourself, how could this equitable sharing program or cash forfeiture program or cash confiscation program be broke? It's impossible. I don't get it. I don't get how that could possibly be. How could something like a program that where a cop just driving down the road, he's getting paid anyway, stops a motorist and says, "Oh, I think your cash is guilty of a crime, give it to me." How could that program be broke? But like I said, most of the states do not report how much cash they take in or where it came from or all this. It's just there. And you really don't even know. Even if they report it, you probably don't even know all the facts. But it's just like the situation I talked about with the animal control in Citrus County, Florida. Um, how the hell could they freaking make a decision on a person that is, older, that has been taking care of cats for for probably 20 years, and, since she moved over to their wonderful county, all of a sudden, it turns out that you're guilty of animal abuse because the cat already had a problem from being a stray and being out in the wild, so now she's giving it food and medical attention from the veterinarian. Um, you're saying that problem the cat had from being out in the wild is that person's fault, and that person should be charged thousands and thousands of dollars. And on top of that, all the cats she kept inside that were not strays were also confiscated, and she could not even buy him back from the place because they deemed it that she's not fit to own a cat. So you give them a little bit of power, man. You know what happens? It goes right to their freaking head. And unfortunately, this Napoleon Syndrome is all over. It's in all fields. And, people that are in PETA and stuff, they really don't care. There's right now, there's a law in Florida right now that actually make it whereby animal control can't kill off the animals. It's like it's going to be a capture, neuter, vaccinate against rabies, and release, and let them do their own thing. So that would be better. And actually, PETA is not even supported that law, but you would think they would be, but that's not how it is. But that's just how you would think the cops are here to protect us. Many times they're not. Many times they are, and then they aren't. It's a mixed bag. So anyway, I didn't want to put out this depressing video. It's like kind of depressing, but I'm going to give you a warning. But I guess the one bright hope is somehow or another this equitable sharing program is broke. The Department of Justice can't afford taking in cash. I don't get how that could possibly be. Actually, they need another Department of Justice run by the American public to prosecute all those other assholes that have been stealing this cash, because for the most part, they're just taking the money. There's been a lot of examples where they're just grabbing money because they can grab it and it goes right into anybody's pocket. That's probably why it's losing money.